The campus of Atherton University. A place built on the promise of the future, sits nestled under a cloak of old money and towering oaks. But on the night of November 14th, 2008, the future was stolen and the promise broken. It started, as so many great collapses do, with a debt, not just a financial one, but a debt of silence, fear, and escalating moral failure. Detective Winson, Thorn, a man whose entire career was a study in human frailty, arrived at the scene just before dawn. The victim, Ilara Vance, a brilliant, sharp-tongued student known for her integrity, lay lifeless in her off-campus apartment. Her door was untouched. No forced entry. It looked like a sudden, brutal act of passion, but Thorn felt the weight of something cold, something calculated, his eyes fixed on a specific detail. A single, expensive-looking bronze cufflink dropped meticulously next to a half-finished philosophy paper. It was too clean, too theatrical for a random attack. The atmosphere in the small apartment was heavy, illuminated by the harsh, unflattering glow of forensic lights, revealing every dust mote, every hidden truth. Thorn knelt, his movements measured, the sound of his suppressed breath, the only thing competing with the silent whir of the air conditioning unit. He knew this wasn't just about who, but about why, and the why always dragged the most respectable people into the light. The focus of the investigation quickly narrowed to the inner circle. Ilara had been in a prolonged, vicious conflict with Professor Alistair Finch, the department head, a man of immense academic power and reputation. Finch, a celebrated historian, was also a man perpetually living beyond his means, addicted to the risk of high-stakes gambling. Ilara, his most trusted research assistant, had stumbled upon a systematic scheme. Finch was siphoning grant money, fabricating expense reports, and using her name as a proxy signature. When Ilara threatened to expose him not just for the money, but for the inherent deceit, the stakes became existential. Finch was a pillar of Atherton, poised for a prestigious lifetime appointment. Exposure meant ruin. The pressure was immense. A silent, psychological vice closing around him. When Thorn brought Finch in for a routine interview, the professor entered the sterile interrogation room, perfectly composed in a charcoal suit, but his posture rigid, slightly hunched, betrayed the immense internal tremor. The room was small, fluorescent lit, smelling faintly of old coffee and fear. Dialogus in. Interrogation room 3. 10:30 a.m. Thorn.com, measured, leaning slightly forward, his voice a low rumble. Professor Finch, we're not here to discuss your syllabus. We found this. He gently slides a sealed evidence bag across the steel table. Inside, the bronze cufflink glints under the harsh light. It was next to Miss Vance. Finch's eyes fixed on the cufflink, a slight, involuntary twitch near his jaw. His voice is deep, controlled, intellectual. I've seen this before. It was a gift from my wife, an anniversary gift, 5 years ago. Thorn, we ran the inventory. It's part of a limited edition set. 2 cufflinks. Where is its partner? Professor Finch, swallowing hard, his Adam's apple visibly moving. I lost it. Months ago, perhaps in the city, on a trip. Thorn, you lost one of a bespoke set, a gift from your wife, months ago. Yet its mate appeared conveniently at the scene of a homicide last night. That's a significant coincidence, wouldn't you say? Finch, breathing slows. He grips the edge of the table, showing the first visible sign of physical strain. The moral pressure is palpable. Coincidence is a common factor in life. Detective, I respected Ilara. I was mentoring her. The thought is absurd. Thorn leaning closer, his tone dropping even lower, more intense. Respect or control? She knew about the grant money. Professor, the missing funds, the fabricated signatures. The audit was next week. She was going to talk. And for a man who built his life on reputation, talk is a weapon. You risked everything. Your career, your marriage, your freedom too. Hold on to a lie. When she stood her ground, you made a choice. Ene ere ate you. Ene continues the hesitation in Finch's reply. The imperceptible shift in his eyes spoke volumes. He was a man of words who had run out of them. He had entered the room a professor. He was leaving it a suspect. The psychological battle was won. But the physical evidence remained circumstantial. Thorne knew that the key to justice lay not in the professor's lies, but in his fear. They needed to find the missing grant money, the true motive that cemented the crime. The investigation led Thorne and his partner, Sergeant Lena Reyes, down a labyrinth of financial records, tracing the grant funds. They discovered a shell corporation, a hidden account, and a series of high-stakes wagers placed through an offshore site. The money was spent in a desperate cycle of winning back losses, but the paper trail, meticulous and damning, confirmed the motive. Finch hadn't killed Elara just to save his job. He killed her to silence the witness to his total, humiliating financial ruin. Reyes, a specialist in digital forensics, found a heavily encrypted backup file on Elara's old laptop, a detailed ledger she called the Atherton Chronicle. Inside, Elara hadn't just documented Finch's fraud. She had documented her own internal conflict, her immense guilt over enabling him. Even momentarily, she wrote of the moral compromise, the feeling of her soul being slowly eroded by his demands. This was the true core of the story. Elara wasn't just a victim of crime. She was a victim of a power imbalance, a desperate soul trying to claw her way back to ethical integrity. The final confrontation took place, not in an interrogation room, but in Professor Finch's massive, but now mortgaged, private study on the outskirts of the university, a room that reeked of expensive leather and intellectual decay. Finch was seated at his imposing mahogany desk, surrounded by the books that represented the prestige he had forfeited. The lighting was moody, only a desk lamp cutting through the heavy twilight, emphasizing the lines of stress and exhaustion etched into his face. Thorne and Reyes stood before him, the silence between them thick with unspoken judgment. Reyes holding up a small flash drive containing the ledger. Her voice is clear, authoritative. "Professor Finch, we found the Chronicle. It details every fabricated expense, every wire transfer, every dollar you took. It's a confession, Professor. Yours, not hers. But the truly tragic part, Elara wrote about you, how she believed in you, how she felt guilt for letting you pull her into this. You didn't just kill a student, you destroyed the one person who still saw the good in you." Finch didn't speak. He simply stared at the flash drive, his shoulders slumping, the veneer of intellectual control finally shattering. His trembling hands reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a key, a plain silver one, and placed it on the desk. He then locked eyes with Thorne, a look of profound, devastating. Finch, a bare whisper, the sound of a completely broken man. The money. It's not relevant now. But the lie consumed everything. This key, it's to the storage unit off Route 9. The original hard drive. The full accounts, I just couldn't bear to destroy the last piece of proof. He closes his eyes, a single tear tracing a path through the exhaustion on his cheek. I'm accountable. I know I am. I should have chosen integrity. I should have chosen life. Naire ereati. Ione continues. The bronze cufflink was the start. The silver key was the end. The arrest was quiet, conducted with a gravity that mirrored the profound tragedy of the whole affair. Professor Alistair Finch was sentenced to life, his brilliant mind locked away, not by steel bars, but by the weight of a single, unforgivable mistake. The community was left to pick up the pieces, facing the brutal truth that moral character often falls victim to power, greed, and the crushing pressure of covering up a lie. The loss of Elara Vance was a devastating reminder of how a system of power and debt can silence the righteous. The only redemption possible was the honest accounting, the hard-won justice, and the painful admission of guilt. Sometimes, one wrong choice can destroy a lifetime. Learn from their story. Choose kindness. Choose life. This was just the beginning. The most mysterious and shocking crime stories are still ahead. Subscribe to Crime Flow Narratives and be among the first to uncover what comes next.